Hey everybody, John here, and I'm going to talk about what is considered by some people to be the greatest live album ever. And before I go into that, we're going to talk a little bit about the rock concert, the live show, and just my thoughts on it. And a rock concert or a rock and roll event is not to be confused with a classical concert, the opera, a jazz show, or seeing a movie, or seeing a Broadway show in a theater. A rock and roll event is something you're a part of. You're not just sitting in a chair. Rock and roll is not a spectator sport. When you go to a concert, the concert's about you as much as it is about that artist. And what you bring to that show is what you're going to take home from that show. And I think of concerts, I've been to a lot of shows, especially before my kids were born, and I think about it a lot. What makes a good show? What makes a bad show? And why sometimes the bands aren't great, but it was a great show, or the bands were great, but it was not so great of a show. But I think of a rock concert as a triangle, and I see three forces of energy bouncing off each other. I see the artist projecting energy onto the crowd. I see the crowd projecting energy back at the artist, and I see the crowd projecting energy onto each other. And when all three forces go, there's like a vibration of energy, and you could really raise it up. It's like this field of energy. It just makes an amazing show. But you don't necessarily need all three sides to go. You could have a great show if the band's lousy, but you're there with your friends and the crowd's having a great time and you're bouncing off each other, you're chatting, you've got a buzz on, and it's just a great time, but the band's just background music. Could be a great night. Other times, the band could be fantastic and nobody's getting it except you. You're like, this is so great. You guys are missing this. You don't get this? And there's other times where the band is great and the crowd's lousy, or the crowd's not bouncing off each other. It's just like a bunch of stiffs here. But let's think of some examples. My favorite example is we saw Ian Mitchell, who was a later member of the Bay City Rollers, and it was billed as the bass. He was in the band called Rosetta Stone, but I might have told this story before. I'm sure I did. But it was a booking called the Bay City Rollers were playing out in the suburbs in some no-name bar. And we went with a bunch of our friends to go see him. Basically, it was this drunk guy using the name, this tail end member. And he was in a kilt, and he was completely drunk, barely played any Bay City Rollers numbers. But we were there with all our friends in the crowd, and we're shouting at the guy, and he's getting angry, and we're having a great time. And it was a fantastic show, but it was just us having the fun. It had nothing to do with the artist. Another time, I saw Sylvain from the New York Dolls, and he had this hot shot, like, I think they were French, these young kid bands. They all look like Johnny Thunders. They came out and they were kicking ass, and we were up front and we were having a great time. And about the sixth song in, I turned around and there was like two people behind me. The whole place was empty, so it was just us and him. There was no crowd pushing energy at him. But it was fantastic. He played like that cliche. He was playing like it was in front of, like the same way he would in front of an arena, a full crowd. And then when all three are going, I think of an example of a good one. When I saw Judas Priest have the reunion, when Rob Halford joined back, I don't know what year it is, 90s, 2000s. It was Judas is Rising, or Resurrection was the record. When Halford came back, I think they had a new appreciation and like a self-awareness of what they had created and where they were at. And the crowd was buzzing. We're seeing Halford back with Priest, and the band was so appreciative of us. You could see the love. They were smiling, laughing, the banter between each other. You could see them looking and having fun, and just this appreciation and the love, or whatever. The energy was thrown back and forth, and it was a great show. And Priest, who are now older, were actually better than when I saw them in the 80s in their prime, when they were just kind of like a machine going album tour, and took everything for granted. But it was a wonderful show, and it really had all 3 points going. But in the 80s, like, used to go to rock concerts, even in the clubs or the bars, and people buzzing. Everyone was dressed up, looking cool. There was characters. It was fun in the crowd, fun at the bar, and you were anticipating these bands, and a lot of these bands were in their prime in the 80s. And the shows were just rock concerts. They were just a lot of fun. But what you get at a rock concert is what you bring into a rock concert. You know, if you show up in sandals and shorts and a bad sweatshirt and you sit down and say, hey, perform for me. This guy's in my way. Can you sit down, stop dancing? You're going to have a miserable time and you're bringing miserable energy in. If you go to a rock concert and you bring a little energy in, you say hi, you know, you chat with people, you could raise up the energy in a whole section if you really wanted to. But at the bars, it's like you go in, you want to have fun because it's about me. It's about me having fun, me having freedom, me feeling the forces of rock and roll and making me feel like a better man, like a free person. But I think when you go to a rock concert, you really should dress up a little, you know, have fun, put on a good t-shirt of the band or something cool, put on a nice jacket, a nice shirt, and become part of the show and make it worthwhile. Now I'm just rambling, I know, but people who say like, oh, the old artists, oh, they should hang it up, they're this and that, they're missing the point. First off, I'm never going to tell anyone who says that, like these guys need to hang it up. His voice is shot, he can't play, they're too old, they look foolish in that clothes. I'm totally against that. If you don't want to see that band, that's fine. There's certainly bands I will no longer see because I saw them in the prime. I don't want to spoil it. But no man has a right to tell another man what he can or cannot do. If that's what that person wants to do, then so be it. If the crowds are smaller and only less people want to see it, that's fine. But that's got no bearing on whether he should hang it up. And if a guy that shows up, I'll see old timers, legends, whatever. I bring the concert with me. It's not up to them. If the voice is shot, but they're trying their hardest and there's a love, like this music I grew up with, or this is an important guy, we're bringing the love. The crowd's there with the love. We don't need a straight A performance from this cat. You know, we just need to have, we only need 2 points. We could just have fun off ourselves. But if we want to throw the love at the audience, then we have now 2 points of energy. And if that artist throws it back at us, even if he doesn't have his chops anymore, but I'm seeing a legend or whatever, I'm seeing someone who's trying, you still have that triangle. So people miss the point if they think they want everyone to be like put on a show. Like it's got to be a perfect show. He's got to be singing this or they got to do this. The only time there's bad shows and a truly bad time, bad show is if it's like a band. I just don't like the music. It grates on my ears, but I don't go to those shows unless it happens to be an opening band or a middle slot band that I have no choice on. That would be one reason. The only other way is if the band just looks bored. They just don't want to be there. They're not putting their all. They're not giving an effort. They have disdain for the crowd or disdain. They just don't want to be at the show. That's a downer, but that is rare. Queensryche I could think of as a great example. Just back when they had Jeff Tate in the band, a real downer. You know, you can't give me any energy, any effort, but that's very rare. But anyway, enough of me yapping. Well, I yapped 8 minutes, but we're going to hear what I consider one of the greatest live albums, and a lot of people considered it before I ever even found out about it. But this is an album where the triangle is vibrating up top. And the artist is an absolute master. And there's a lot of classics I threw up behind me. But this album, Jerry Lee Lewis, live at the Star Club, Hamburg, is one of the greatest examples of a master at work and a master live album. And this is a guy, he's got the crowd just going wild. And you can feel their energy. And he's controlling the crowd. He's throwing energy at them. The crowd's throwing back. But not only that, he actually can control the energy, take that triangle as it's vibrating and bring it down, bring it up. He's in total control. It's an amazing thing to hear. And I'm going to play a track and listen to this track. It's I Got a Woman, the first song off the album. And let me talk about this album. This is easy record to find, live at the Star Club. But this is the Bear Family edition, Bear Family Records out of Germany. I think this is the best version. It's got an extra track on it down the line, which is fantastic, an encore. But it came out, I think I had it on CD. I had it on CD. You could get it on CD. You could listen online, but there's got to be 50 versions, 50 different labels. But the Bear family is mastered great. It's recorded pristine. The vinyl is excellent. And this is a nice, beautiful German label, reissue label. Fantastic. And Beatles fans are going to dig the inner sleeve. It's Hamburg, the Star Club. And it's got a fold-out map of Hamburg, Germany. So you could see all the cool places and where the Beatles cut their teeth. But we're going to play the first track. And in this first track, Jerry is such a master. It's almost like a full concert, shrunk down into one track. So you got Jerry Lee Lewis. I was thinking of doing this like I did the Misfits video and break up each part. But I'm just going to play the track and I'll play it at the end. So if you want to listen to it or not. But this record is way better than it has any right to be. I know a lot of people into hard rock or metal or classic rock are like, oh, this 50s guy, like piano player, yeah, I like a whole lot of shaking or whatever. You got to hear this. Even when I think I put it away and say, was it really as good as I thought? I put it on, it's better than I thought. The guy is a master and is not a boring part on this album. He does, well, we'll start with the first one. It's I Got a Woman, which I think some albums they call it Mean Woman Blues, but it's I Got a Woman, a Ray Charles tune. But he starts off, just comes out kicking ass. And then he brings it up. He just goes wild within the first, 40 seconds. He brings it up and you could feel the energy level lift. Then he brings it back down. Then he starts, you hear the crowd shouting at him and he's bantering and he's playing. He's very playful. And he's kind of teasing the crowd. Then he gets into this flirting mode where he's flirting a little bit, doing his little growls and stuff. But then he goes into the show-off part where he shows off his technical virtuoso, and he's just showing off like it would be like the Eddie Van Halen guitar solo or whatever, that middle part of the concert where they do their solos. And then he brings it back up and goes wild. And during that, that show-off part, you could hear some bad notes, and he's putting his foot on the piano or he's playing with his elbow. But it's just amazing, and this whole thing happens. I don't know if there's times on this, but it's 4 minutes. It's basically an entire concert, and that's just the first track. And it's exactly 4 minutes. But in 4 minutes, you will hear a mini concert, and I will play that. But the guy's an absolute master. And then after that, he breaks into High School Confidential, kick-ass number, which is maybe better than the studio 1957, I think, Sun Records version. He does Money, Matchbox, What I Say. Side 2, he just goes through a bunch of hits. He does Hank Williams, Your Cheating Heart. And you could tell he grew up with Hank Williams. It's just brilliant. Hound Dog, Long Tall Sally, a whole lot of shaking. This album kicks ass, but not only it doesn't just kick ass like a steamroller. The guy's, he ups and downs the energy, and he plays, and he's funny. But we're going to hear this track, and I might just end it because I talked enough. But basically, to reiterate what I said, a concert is what you bring to it. So dress up, have fun, talk to people, go out to have a good time. If you go out with the goal of having a good time, regardless of the artist, you give them the best support you can, or whatever. You boo them if they're lousy, but make sure you have a good time and you come home and you said, it was worth it. That's another notch on my belt, another great time I had out, because life is short. But we're going to hear one of the greatest. I mean, seriously, if you're a hard rock guy or whatever, this album, just listen to this album. You might dig it. But we're going to hear the first track, I Got a Woman by Jerry Lee Lewis. And this is, I think, 1964. Oh, I should know that. I should have checked. I don't know if it's 62 or 64. I think it's 64. But kick ass. Check it out, man. You'll thank me.
got a woman mean as she can be. Oh, I got a woman mean as she can be. Sometimes I think she's almost mean as me. She got ruby lips, shapely hips. She done makes so cherry flip. I got a woman mean as she can be. Sometimes I think she's almost mean as me. Well, I drink a little coffee and I drink a little tea, but jelly is the thing I'm gonna make her behind. I got a woman, she got me. Yeah, I know what time I'm gonna think of, she's all almost to meet as me. Whoa. Well, I ain't bragging, but you know I done the dinner with the Jerry does something I do about it good. Got a woman mean as she can be. I know what time I'm gonna think of, but she's almost mean as me. Well, easy now. Oh, yeah. Let's get it down real low now. Yeah. I gotta be a woman. I gotta be a woman. I gotta be a woman. Yeah. Oh, I got a woman. I said I have got me a woman. All right, let's go one time. I got a woman mean as she can be. Oh, I got a woman mean as she can be. Yeah, sometimes I think she's almost mean as me. Oh, I got a woman. I got a woman. I got a woman. I got a woman. I got a woman mean as she can be. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to say it's a pleasure, a great honor to be back at the fabulous, most beautiful, I mean really swinging Star Club. All right? Yeah.
My goodness, that was better than I remember. And if you crank this album and through the speakers in the house and it's moving air, your blood pressure goes up. It actually feels like you're at the concert, man. So good. I want to hear it again. Cheers.